Written for the screen by Graham Greene, the still in-print book is actually a novelization. Cal Reed's The Third Man effectively transfers the urban nightmare world of Hollywood film noir of the 1940s to a European setting. Hey, I'm so excited about reading my favorite book, 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, that I can't even sit down while reading it. And I'm currently in 1949 with Cal Reed's film noir, post-war, black and white masterpiece, The Third Man. You know, many people bandy about the words the best of, the best film, the best 5 films, the best 10 films, numerous times. And it's something that is a matter of opinion. And in my opinion, throughout all those lists, The Third Man will always appear, and also in my opinion, it is the most visually stunning black and white film ever made. Now that is quite a statement, considering one of the main actors in this movie is Orson Welles, who was a profound director in his own right and was the creator in his premiere film of another movie that's considered by many the most visually stunning black and white film ever made, of course, that being Citizen Kane. The movie mixes stunning photography, avant-garde film techniques, great acting, eclectic music, and a suspenseful crime story that begins as a mystery. The majority of the movie was filmed in post-war Vienna, in Austria that was still had the look and feel of devastation from the Allied bombings during the war. And the film was set in the immediate aftermath of that war, which was occupied by the Allied forces, being the American, British, French, and Russian. It has a powerful ending that its conclusion made me want to see the film over and over again. That is, in a nutshell, the amazement of Cal Reed's The Third Man. The story begins with the arrival in Vienna, Austria of Holly Martin, an American writer who has been invited to Austria by his good friend from his university days, Harry Limes, who is currently living in Vienna. Harry has invited Holly to Vienna in order to write his biography for him. Then he's given a hint by the police that his friend's death was actually caused by murder rather than an automobile accident, and there is a mysterious third man responsible for this murder. Or at least that is what he thinks, and that is what the police think at this time. The police, however, want him to leave the city, but he ends up staying through the bizarre hiring from some Austrian cultural group who, after discovering his arrival in the city, want him to lecture their group. Holly's friend, Harry Limes, is played by the great movie actor and director Orson Welles, who a few years earlier directed his masterpiece, Citizen Kane, the other movie that is most famous for its visual, stunning, black and white photography.
Step out in the light and let's have a look at you. Who's your boss?
Ja, zum Teufel nochmal, was ist denn da los?
Sagen Sie, was fällt denn Ihnen überhaupt ein? Sind Sie deppert? Ja, Sie meine ich, schauen Sie nicht so blöd. Eine Frechheit ist das, mitten in der Nacht so einen Krawall zu machen.
Orson Welles was rumored to have been the person responsible for directing this movie, which is a disservice to Cal Reed. It was Cal Reed's directorial work on The Third Man, and Orson Welles has consistently denied having any part in directing this film. What he did do, and what is known and accepted by everybody, was write the famous cuckoo clock scene.
When we do meet, old man, it's you I want to see, not the police. Remember that, won't you? Don't be so gloomy. After all, it's not that awful. Well, what the fella said. In Italy, for 30 years under the Borgias, they had warfare, terror, murder, and bloodshed, but they produced Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and the Renaissance. In Switzerland, they had brotherly love. They had 500 years of democracy and peace, and what did that produce? The cuckoo clock. So long, Holly.
War II. This movie was made a few years after the end of the World War II, and the Cuckoo Clock scene is a sort of interpretation of how evil interprets their justification of what they do through culture. And it's one of the iconic scenes of movie history. In addition to the superb look of this movie, the plot is quite interesting in itself, and it involves a plot of producing and distributing counterfeit and non-effective medicine that would result, if succeeded, in the killing of millions of innocent people. Harry Limes is the main protagonist of this evil scheme, making him one of cinema's most famous villains. The famous scene on the Vienna Ferris wheel where Harry contemplates murder and at the same time professes his disdain for human life.
Victims? Don't be melodramatic. Look down there. Would you really feel any pity if one of those dots stopped moving forever? If I offered you 20,000 pounds for every dot that stopped, would you really, old man, tell me to keep my money? Or would you calculate how many dots you could afford to spend? Free of income tax, I want it. Free of income tax. The only way you can save money nowadays.
A lot of good your money will do you in jail.
That jail's in another zone. There's no proof against me. Besides you. I should be pretty easy to get rid of.
The Dutch angle technique is a technique perfected by the German expressionists of the silent era, and is a technique where the camera is tilted a little bit to the side so that its center point is not straight horizontal lines, but lines coming somewhere from the far points of the movie screen. This technique was used with the German expressionist cinema pioneers to give a feeling of unease to the viewer, and it is exactly this feel that Carol Reed wanted when he used the technique in his movie The Third Man. My feeling watching this movie of unease permeated throughout the whole movie, and in fact the vast majority of the scenes were filmed by use of the Dutch film technique, and making the prevailing thought being that this is the movie that created the technique. It wasn't the movie that created the technique, but it was the movie that made the technique famous. This technique distorts our view of the buildings and alleyways in this amazing and destroyed city. Another extremely interesting element of this movie is the music score. The music score basically contains one music piece expanded and played by an instrument called a zither. A zither is a medieval instrument from medieval Europe that has 12 strings stretched upon a flat surface. The zither had a very distinct sound, very medieval sound to it, and Carol Reed, it was rumored, was sat in a Vienna cafe and listening to the composer of this movie playing the zither and playing his own compositions. Reed immediately saw this type of music and sound being appropriate for his movie and hired the zither player to compose the film score, and it has since become one of the most famous film scores in film history. The score adds a rhythm to the surrealistic pictures shown in the film that can only be described as perfect, and will have you humming to its quirky tune at the film's end. The movie's ending sets a sad and bittersweet tone that fits the film's theme and feel to a T. The Third Man is one of those rare pieces of art that combine writing, visualization, acting, and music to create something that is almost near perfect. Thank you for watching my review. My next review will be the 1955 contemporary Western from John Sturges, Bad Day at Black Rock. Until then, I leave you with the trailer for The Third Man.
Mr. Martins engaged on a new book?
Yes. It's a murder story. It's based on fact. It's called The Third Man. Heard of Harry Lime?
Best friend I ever had.
So you're going to find me the real criminal. Sounds like one of your stories.
You're wrong about Harry. You're wrong about everything.
You never should have gone to the police, you know.
Come out, whoever you are.